The big meeting room was full of worried voices. Creatures from 47 different worlds sat around the huge table, their eyes fixed on the empty chair where the human ambassador should have been sitting. Admiral Zexler stood at the front of the room, his green scales catching the light as he looked at the crowd of aliens before him. "We have a problem," he said, his voice deep and serious. "The humans have gone silent." A ripple of whispers went through the room. The bird-like centauri fluffed their feathers nervously. The rock-faced granite people shifted in their seats. Even the floating energy beings of the ethereal syndicate seemed to dim slightly at the news. "What do you mean, silent?" asked Commander Thylin, her forearms crossing over her chest. She was from the Andromedan fleet, and her people had traded with humans for over 20 years. Zexler pressed a button on his control pad. A star map appeared in the air above the table, showing hundreds of solar systems. Red dots marked human colonies and outposts. Every single red dot was blinking. 6 months ago, all human communication stopped. Every transmission from human space went dark. No trade signals, no diplomatic messages, no emergency calls, nothing. Dr. Keth Mora, a tall alien with tentacles instead of arms, waved one of them in the air. Perhaps their communication systems broke down? Technical problems happen to all species. "We thought so too," Zexler replied. "But look at this." The star map changed to show trade routes. Bright lines connected different worlds, showing the flow of goods and ships across the galaxy. Where the lines should have connected to human space, there was only empty darkness. Human ships stopped arriving at ports. Human merchants stopped buying and selling. Human diplomats were called from every embassy. It all happened in the same week. The room fell quiet. Everyone knew how important human trade was to the galaxy. Humans bought food from the farm worlds, metals from the mining planets, and technology from the advanced civilizations. They sold manufactured goods, art, and something else that was harder to measure but just as valuable: hope. Humans were the species that believed everyone could get along. They were the ones who suggested peace talks when others wanted war. They were the ones who sent medical supplies to planets hit by disasters, even if those planets had been enemies before. "When was the last contact?" asked Ambassador Quendall, her translator box making her water-based speech sound like bubbles. "Popping Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Meridian," Zexler answered. "He requested emergency medical supplies for a colony outbreak on Kepler 442b. The supplies were sent, but we never got confirmation that they arrived. That was 23 weeks and 4 days ago." Veltar, a young centauri with bright blue feathers, stood up. His voice was shaky as he spoke. "I worked with Dr. Elena Rodriguez. She was the human ambassador here. She got called back to Earth just before the silence started." Everyone turned to look at him. Veltar had been Dr. Rodriguez's assistant for 3 years. If anyone knew what happened, it would be him. "She seemed worried," Veltar continued. "She got a message from her government. It was coded, but she read it 3 times before deleting it. Then she packed her things and left that same day." "Did she say anything?" Zexler asked, Veltar's feathers drooped. "She said to tell everyone that humans valued their friendships in the galaxy. She said humans always remembered who their friends were and who they weren't." Another wave of nervous whispers filled the room. The meaning behind those words was clear enough to make everyone uncomfortable. "There's more," Zexler said. He pressed another button. "This is the last official message from human space." A recording played. It was a computer voice, cold and automatic. "All diplomatic missions are being suspended indefinitely due to internal restructuring. Human representatives are being recalled to coordinate new policies. Thank you for your understanding." "Internal restructuring," repeated Commander Thylin. "That could mean anything. A new government, a civil war, a plague. Or preparation for something else," said a voice from the back of the room. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. It was General Vextar of the warlike hegemony. His people were known for being aggressive, but they were also smart about military matters. "Humans don't go quiet for no reason," Vextar continued. "In all the wars I've studied, silence comes before action. When a species stops talking, it usually means they're getting ready to do something big. You think they're preparing for war? Zexler asked. I think they're preparing for something, Vextar replied. The question is what? Dr. Kethmar waved a tentacle again. This is all speculation. We need facts. Has anyone tried to visit human space? Several trade ships have tried, Zexler answered. None have returned. The room went dead silent. That changed everything. Missing ships meant real danger, not just communication problems. What kind of ships? Asked Commander Thylan. Cargo vessels mostly. But also 3 scout ships from different fleets and 1 diplomatic courier. All missing? All missing. Ambassador Quindola's translator box made angry bubbling sounds. This is unacceptable. We demand answers. The Council has a right to know. What happened to our ships? Which is why we're here, Zexler said. We need to decide what to do next. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some wanted to send a military fleet to human space to demand answers. Others thought they should wait and see what happened. A few suggested that maybe the humans were dealing with some internal crisis and just needed time. General, Vextar had a different idea. Send a joint investigation fleet. Not military, not aggressive, just representatives from multiple species going to check on our friends and see if they need help. And if they don't want help? Asked Dr. Kethmara. Then at least we'll know. They're alive. The vote was close, but Vextar's suggestion won. A fleet would be assembled with ships from 12 different species. They would approach human space peacefully, broadcast friendship messages, and try to make contact. As the meeting ended and the various aliens filed out of the room, many of them were thinking the same thing. In all their dealings with humans, they had never known them to be secretive or unfriendly. Humans love to talk, to share ideas, to invite others to parties and celebrations. The silence was completely unlike them. It was as if the entire human species had suddenly changed personality overnight, what none of them knew. As they made their plans and prepared their ships, was that the humans hadn't changed at all. They were still the same species that valued friendship and cooperation. They still believed in peace and helping others, but they had also learned something important in their years among the galactic community. They had learned that sometimes being peaceful made others think you were weak. Sometimes being helpful made others think they could take advantage of you. And sometimes, when you asked for help and nobody listened, you had to solve your problems. Yourself, the humans had gone quiet because they were busy. They had work to do and they wanted to finish it without interruptions or interference. When the job was done, they would be ready to talk again, but by then, the galaxy would be a very different place. 3 weeks later, the investigation fleet reached the edge of human space. Commander Thylan stood on the bridge of her ship, watching the stars through the big window. Behind her, 12 different species worked together at various control stations. It was the largest peaceful fleet the galaxy had ever assembled. Contact the human colony on New Denver, she ordered. Send them the friendship message we prepared. Lieutenant Zixal, a small blue alien with big eyes, worked at the communication station. Broadcasting now, Commander. Standard diplomatic frequencies. They waited. Minutes passed. Then more minutes? Any response? Thylan asked. Nothing, Commander. The planet isn't answering. Dr. Kethmara floated over to the science station, his tentacles moving quickly over the controls. I'm reading the planet on sensors. The cities are there. Power readings are normal, but no ships moving around the planet. That's strange, said Captain Morden, who commanded one of the other ships in the fleet. His people were traders who knew human colonies well. New Denver is always busy. Cargo ships, passenger shuttles, mining vessels. The space around that planet should be full of traffic. Thylan felt a cold feeling in her stomach. Take us closer, slowly. As their ships moved toward New Denver, more details became clear on their sensors. The planet looked normal from far away, but something was very wrong. Commander, called out Ensign Valenux from the scanning station. I'm reading debris fields. Throughout the system. What kind of debris? Ship parts. Lots of them, and Commander, None of them are human ships. Thailand's forearms tensed. Show me. The main screen lit up with a tactical display. Red dots marked debris fields scattered throughout the New Denver system. There were dozens of them, maybe hundreds. As their ships got closer, the details became clearer and more frightening. "Those are pirate consortium ships," breathed Captain Morden, staring at the screen. "Look at those weapon signatures and those hull designs. Those are Slavers' Guild fighters." Dr. Kethmora's tentacles went still. "How many ships?" "At least 2 full raider fleets," answered Villeneuve. "Maybe more. Old destroyed." The investigation fleet moved carefully through the debris fields. Twisted metal floated everywhere. Broken weapons, shattered hull plates, and pieces of alien technology drifted in slow motion around the human planet. But the strangest thing was what they didn't see. "Where are the human ships?" asked Captain Morden. "If there was a battle here, where are the human casualties?" "There aren't any," Thailand said quietly. "I'm not reading any human debris at all." Lieutenant Zixal looked up from his station. "Commander, I'm picking up something. It's faint, but there's a communication beacon still working in one of the debris fields. Can you access it? Working on it now?" His big eyes focused on his screen. "Got it. It's a black box recorder from a pirate consortium ship. The last entry was recorded 8 weeks ago." "Play it." A rough voice filled the bridge, speaking in the common trade language. The recording was scratchy and full of static. "This is Captain Rexstar of the vessel Bloodfang. We're approaching the human colony as planned. Intelligence says they've got a big shipment of rare metals ready for transport. Should be easy pickings. These humans never fight back properly." Static filled the recording for a moment, then the voice returned, sounding confused. "Wait, what's that?" "There are ships coming." "Out of ... Where did they come from?" "I don't see them on sensors." "How are they?" The recording cut off in a burst of static and screaming. The bridge of Philone's ship went completely quiet. Everyone stared at the communication station. "That's all there is," Zixal said softly. Dr. Kethmora floated over to examine the tactical readings more closely. "This is impossible. Look at these weapon damage patterns. The pirate ships were destroyed by energy weapons, but not any type we have in our databases." "What do you mean?" Thailand asked. "The energy signatures are completely unknown. Whatever destroyed these ships used technology that's more advanced than anything in the galactic registry. And look at this, the damage is incredibly precise. These ships weren't just destroyed, they were surgically taken apart." Captain Morden shook his head. "Humans don't have weapons like that. Their military technology is good, but it's not that advanced." "Maybe it wasn't human weapons," suggested Lieutenant Zixal. "Then who?" Thailand asked. Nobody had an answer. They spent the next day examining the debris fields more carefully. Each discovery made the mystery deeper. The destroyed ships all had one thing in common: they were all armed for attacking colonies. Warding equipment, slave cages, weapons designed to destroy planetary defenses. These weren't merchant ships or explorers, Dr. Kethmora observed. Every single destroyed vessel was equipped for raiding and attacking civilian targets. And, they were all approaching human space when they were destroyed, added Captain Morden, but the most disturbing discovery came when they tried to contact the human colony on the planet below. "I'm scanning the cities," reported Ensign Villeneuve. "Power is on, life support is running, but I'm not detecting any human life signs." "Are they dead?" Thailand asked, dreading the answer. "I don't think so. The cities look maintained. The lights are on, the traffic systems are working. It's like everyone just ... left." They sent a shuttle down to investigate. The team that returned brought back recordings that puzzled everyone even more. The human cities were perfect. Clean streets, tended gardens, working machines, but no people. "It's like they just walked away," reported the shuttle pilot. "Everything is in order, but nobody's home." Commander Thailand made a decision that would haunt her for months afterward. "We need to check other human colonies. This might not be an isolated incident." They were right. System after system showed the same pattern. Destroyed raider fleets, floating in space around perfectly maintained but empty human worlds. Pirates, slavers, and other criminal organizations, all reduced to debris fields. The investigation fleet visited 12 human colonies. Every single one was the same. Beautiful, working cities with no people. Space graveyards full of destroyed criminal ships. And no sign of whatever had done the destroying. On the 7th day, Dr. Kethmora made a discovery that changed everything. "I've been analyzing the weapon damage across all the sites," he announced to the gathered commanders. "The energy signatures are identical. Whatever destroyed all these ships, it was the same technology used at every location." "One weapon destroyed all these fleets?" Captain Morden asked. "Not one weapon, one type of weapon?" "But Commander, there's something else. I found traces of the same energy signature on some of the human colony defense satellites." Thylan's stomach dropped. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying the humans didn't just survive these attacks. I think they won completely, and then they left." The investigation fleet spent 2 more days confirming Dr. Kethmora's theory. The evidence was overwhelming. Every destroyed ship had been attacking or preparing to attack human targets. Every human colony showed signs of successful defense. And every human colony was now empty. But where did they go? Wondered Lieutenant Zixal. "Maybe," Commander Thylan said slowly, "the question isn't where they went. Maybe the question is what they're doing next." As the investigation fleet prepared to return to the Galactic Council with their disturbing report, none of them noticed the small, nearly invisible ship that had been watching them from a distance. The ship that recorded every scan they made, every word they spoke, every conclusion they reached. The ship that belonged to Captain Ryan Blake, who had been watching and waiting to see how the galaxy would react to humanity's first message. The humans hadn't gone anywhere. They had just stopped announcing where they were. The Galactic Council meeting room was packed. Every seat was filled, and many alien representatives stood along the walls. The news from the investigation fleet had spread quickly through diplomatic channels, and everyone wanted to hear the official report. Admiral Zexler stood at the center of the room, his green scales darker than usual. The holographic display behind him showed the debris fields the investigation team had found. Twisted metal and broken ships floated in slow motion above the heads of the assembled aliens. "The evidence is clear," Zexler announced. "Every destroyed vessel in human space belonged to criminal organizations, pirates, slavers, raiders, and mercenaries. All of them were equipped for attacking civilian colonies." Commander Thylan stepped forward. "We found no human casualties, no destroyed human ships. The human colonies appear to have been successfully defended, but then abandoned." A murmur ran through the crowd. The bird-like centauri fluffed their feathers nervously. The rock-faced granite people shifted in their seats with grinding sounds. "How many ships were destroyed?" asked General Vexstar of the warlike hegemony. "Conservative estimate? Over 300 vessels across 12 star systems," Thylan replied. "Possibly more that we haven't found yet." The room erupted in shocked voices. 300 ships was not a small raiding party. That was a coordinated assault by multiple criminal organizations. Ambassador Quindle of the Peaceful Traders Union raised one of her water-filled appendages. "This explains something that's been puzzling our organization. We've been tracking increased raids on human merchant vessels for the past year. The attacks were getting worse every month." "What kind of attacks?" Zexler asked. "Cargo theft, ship hijacking, colonist kidnapping," Quindle replied. Human merchants started requesting escort services more frequently. They filed complaint after complaint with the council. Dr. Kethmora's tentacles writhed with agitation. "I remember those complaints. They were stuck in the bureaucracy committee for months. The council kept asking for more evidence, more documentation. While humans were being attacked," Commander Thylan said quietly. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. The galactic government had failed to protect one of its member species, and that species had apparently decided to protect itself. Veltar, the young centauri who had worked with the human ambassador, stood up. His blue feathers were drooping with sadness. Dr. Elena Rodriguez tried to warn us. She filed 17 separate requests for increased security patrols in human space. All of them were denied or delayed. Why were they denied? Asked Zexstar. Budget concerns, Veltar replied. The council said it couldn't afford to increase military patrols for every member species that requested them. General Vexstar made a harsh sound that might have been laughter. And now we see what happens when you force a species to handle its own security problems. Admiral Zexler activated another holographic display. This one showed trade routes and communication logs. We've discovered something else troubling. In the past week, several criminal organizations across the galaxy have gone completely silent. Which organizations? Asked Commander Thylon. The Orion Raider clans, the Shadow Fleet, the Blood Merchants, even some of the smaller pirate groups. Their last known positions were all near the borders of human space. Dr. Kethmara's tentacles went very still. They're all missing? Not missing. According to our sources, their ships never returned from what they called hunting expeditions in human territory. The implications hit the room like a physical wave. Every alien representative began talking at once, their voices rising in. Panic and confusion. Order! Order! Zexler shouted. There's more you need to know. The room gradually quieted, but the tension remained thick. We found this in the council archives, Zexler continued. A new hologram appeared, showing a document with official seals. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's final diplomatic report, filed just days before the humans went silent. Veltar's feathers stood up straight. She never told me about a final report. It was classified as sensitive diplomatic material, Zexler explained. But given the circumstances, the Council has voted to declassify it. He began reading from the document. To the Galactic Council, humanity's patience with the current security situation is approaching its limits. Our people are being attacked, our ships are being stolen, and our colonies are being threatened. We have asked for help repeatedly, but bureaucratic delays continue to prevent meaningful action. The Admiral paused, looking around the room. The report goes on to detail specific attacks. 17 human merchant ships destroyed in 6 months. 4 colonial settlements raided. Over 200 humans killed or captured by criminal organizations. And we did nothing, whispered Ambassador Quindle. The report concludes with this warning, Zexler continued reading. If the galactic community cannot or will not protect human interests, humanity will be forced to implement alternative security measures. We have developed new defensive protocols under the designation Project Quiet Storm. We hope these measures will not be necessary. But we will not allow our people to continue suffering while political processes delay justice. The room was completely silent now. Every alien representative understood the significance of those words. Commander Thylon spoke first. Project Quiet Storm, that's what destroyed all those criminal fleets. But how? Asked Dr. Kethmora. Human military technology is advanced, but not that advanced. The weapon signatures we found don't match anything in their known arsenal. Maybe. We didn't know their full capabilities, suggested General Vexstar. Humans are good at keeping secrets when they need to. Admiral Zexler activated one more display. This one showed current galactic crime statistics. Look at these numbers. In the past month, piracy incidents have dropped by 60%. Slave trading has nearly stopped completely. Raider attacks are down to almost zero. Because the criminals are all dead, Commander Thylon said bluntly. The galaxy has become safer, Zexler continued. But not because of anything the Council did. Humanity solve the problem for us. Ambassador Quindle made bubbling sounds of distress. This is terrible. We drove a peaceful species to become killers. Did we? Asked General Vexstar. Or did we fail to protect them and they protected themselves? The debate that followed was heated and painful. Some representatives argued that humanity had overreacted, that violence was never the answer. Others pointed out that the Council had failed in its basic duty to protect member species from criminal attacks, but the most disturbing comments came from the Intelligence officers who had been quietly gathering information while the investigation. Fleet was exploring human space. We've been monitoring communication intercepts, reported Agent Klytar from Galactic Intelligence. Criminal organizations across the galaxy are terrified. They're calling it the human hunt. Some pirate crews have disbanded rather than risk entering human space. What are they saying? Asked Zexter. That humans don't just defend themselves anymore. They hunt down anyone who threatens their people. That human ships appear out of nowhere, strike without warning, and vanish before anyone can respond. That attacking humans now means certain death. The room grew cold. Every representative was thinking the same thing. If humans were now actively hunting criminals across the galaxy, what would they do to governments that had failed to protect them? We need to make contact, Admiral Zexter declared. We need to talk to them before this situation gets worse. What if they don't want to? Talk? Asked Commander Thylon, before anyone could answer. Every communication system in the council chamber activated at once. Screens lit up, speakers crackled to life, and a single message appeared on every display. It was text only. In the common galactic language, the Galactic Council is invited to attend a diplomatic meeting at the following coordinates. Human representatives will explain the new security situation. Attendance is strongly recommended. The message was signed simply, Captain Jake Morrison, Human Defense Fleet. Nobody in the room had ever heard of a human defense fleet before. But they all understood that they were about to find out what humanity had become during their months of silence. The meeting coordinates led to a neutral space station at the edge of the galaxy. It was an old trading post that had been abandoned for years, but when the Galactic Council fleet arrived, they found it fully powered and operational. Admiral Zexter stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the ancient station through the viewscreen. Scans show the station is running on full power. Life support is active. But I'm only reading one life sign aboard. One human? Asked Commander Thylon, who had insisted on coming along. Yes, one human. The diplomatic shuttle carrying the council representatives docked with the station without incident. As they walked through the corridors, everyone noticed how clean and well-maintained everything looked. The old station had been completely restored. They found the human waiting in what used to be the main conference room. He was a tall man with short brown hair and calm blue eyes. He wore a simple uniform that none of them recognized. Welcome, he said, standing as they entered. I'm Captain Jake Morrison. Thank you for coming. Admiral Zexter stepped forward. Captain Morrison, the galaxy has many questions about recent events. I'm sure it does, Jake replied. Please sit down. I'll try to explain everything. The alien representatives took their seats around the conference table. Jake remained standing, his hands clasped behind his back. First, let me address the obvious concern. Yes, humanity has developed new military capabilities over the past 2 years. Yes, we use those capabilities to eliminate criminal organizations that were attacking our people. And yes, we did it without asking permission from the Galactic Council. How many criminals did you kill? Asked General Vextar bluntly. All of them who posed a direct threat to human colonies or shipping, Jake replied without hesitation. Our estimate is approximately 15,000 individuals across 47 different criminal organizations. The number hit the room like a physical blow. 15,000 dead. An entire population of criminals wiped out in a matter of months. Dr. Kethmore's tentacles trembled. That's genocide. No, Jake said firmly. Genocide is the systematic elimination of a species or ethnic group. What we did was law enforcement. We eliminated criminals who were killing our people. Without trials, protested Ambassador Quindle. The trials happened when they attacked our ships and colonies, Jake replied. They convicted themselves, Commander Thylon leaned forward. Captain Morrison, where are the human civilians? Your colonies are empty. They're safe, Jake said. We evacuated them to secure locations while we dealt with the criminal problem. They'll return when the galaxy is safer. And when will that be? Asked Admiral Zig, single quotes Thor. Jake smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. That depends on the galaxy. He pressed a button on the table, and a holographic display appeared. It showed star maps, trade routes, and statistical data. Let me show you what we discovered during our months of silence, Jake continued. The criminal attacks on human targets weren't random. They were coordinated. Someone was organizing and supplying these raiders. The display zoomed in on specific star systems. Red lines connected criminal bases to supply routes and communication networks. The Orion Raider clans were being funded by corrupt officials in the Krell Empire. The Shadow Fleet was getting their weapons from illegal arms dealers in Centauri space. The Blood Merchants were selling their captured slaves to buyers in 17 different star systems. You're accusing council member species of supporting criminals? Zexler asked. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, Jake replied. I'm stating facts. We have evidence of who supplied the criminals, who bought from them, and who protected them from law enforcement. The holographic display changed to show bank records, communication intercepts, and shipping manifests. The evidence was overwhelming and damning. Some of the same government officials who delayed our security requests were secretly profiting from the criminal attacks on our people, Jake continued. They kept us defenseless while their criminal partners robbed and killed us. The alien representatives looked at each other with growing horror. If Jake was telling the truth, the corruption went all the way to the highest levels of galactic government. What do you want? Asked General Vexstar. We want the galaxy to be safe for peaceful species, Jake answered. We want criminals to be punished, not protected. We want corrupt officials to face justice, not hide behind diplomatic immunity. And if we refuse? Asked Admiral Zexler. Jake's expression didn't change, but something cold entered his eyes. Then we'll continue handling these problems ourselves. Before anyone could respond, the station's communication system activated. A new voice filled the room, speaking in the calm tones of a human woman. Captain Morrison, this is Commander Lisa Park aboard the Meridian. We have a situation developing in the Vega sector. What kind of situation? Jake asked. 3 Krell Empire border stations have been conducting unauthorized raids into the Kepler system. They've attacked 2 human research outposts in the past week. 7 scientists are dead, 12 are missing. The Krell representative at the table, a large lizard-like alien named Gexther, stood up quickly. That's impossible. The Krell Empire doesn't authorize raids on council member species. Commander Park, Jake said, ignoring Gexther. What's the status of the raiding force? Eliminated, sir. All 3 border stations have been neutralized. We're searching for survivors from the research outposts. Gexther's scales turned pale. You attacked Krell military installations? Jake turned to face him. Your military installations attacked our people. We responded appropriately. This is an act of war. Gexther shouted. No, Jake said calmly. This is law enforcement. Your border commanders committed crimes against human civilians. They've been stopped. Admiral Zexler stood up, his own scales darkening with stress. Captain Morrison, you can't just attack council member military forces. We can and we will, Jake replied. Anyone who kills our people will face consequences. We don't care if they're pirates, raiders, or government officials. The communication system activated again. This time it was a different human voice, a man with a slight accent. Captain Morrison, this is Lieutenant Ben Cooper on patrol near the Centauri trade routes. We've intercepted a slave ship carrying 43 humans captured from the new Boston colony. Orders? Free the prisoners, Commander Cooper. Deal with the slavers. Understood, sir. The line went quiet. Everyone in the room knew what deal with the slavers meant. Ambassador Quindle made distressed, bubbling sounds. How many ships do you have out there? Enough, Jake answered. This has to stop, Admiral Zexler declared. You're acting as judge, jury, and executioner across the entire galaxy. The galaxy had its chance to provide justice through proper channels, Jake replied. You chose not to. So we're providing it ourselves. He pressed another button on the table. The holographic display changed to show a list of names and locations. These are corrupt officials who took bribes to delay human security requests. These are arms dealers who supplied weapons to criminal organizations. These are slave traders who bought human captives. These are the people who profited from attacks on our colonies. The list was long and included names from every major species in the galaxy. We know who they are, where they are, and what they've done, Jake continued. The question is, what is the Galactic Council going to do about them? What do you mean? Asked Commander Thylon. Simple, you have a choice. You can arrest these criminals and put them on trial, or we will eliminate them the same way we eliminated the pirates and raiders. The room fell into stunned silence. Jake was giving the galactic government an ultimatum. Clean up your own corruption, or humanity will do it for you. How long do we have? Asked Admiral Zexler quietly. 1 month, Jake replied. After that, we start the next phase of our security operations. And what's the next phase? Asked General Vextar. Jake smiled again. And this time it was even colder than before. Making sure this never happens again. 1 month later, the Galactic Council chambers looked very different. Half the seats were empty. The officials who usually sat in them were either in prison or had mysteriously disappeared. The remaining representatives sat quietly, looking nervous. An uncomfortable Admiral Zexler stood at his usual place, but his green scales had lost their shine. He looked older and more tired than anyone had ever seen him. The month Captain Morrison gave us is over. I need to report on what has happened. He activated the holographic display. Instead of showing star maps or battle scenes, it showed arrest records and trial proceedings. The Council has arrested 47 officials on corruption charges. 23 arms dealers have been shut down. 15 slave trading operations have been eliminated. We've recovered over 3,000 victims and returned them to their home worlds. Commander Thylon, who now held a higher position after. Several corrupt admirals were removed, nodded grimly. The galaxy is safer than it's been in decades. Crime rates are at historic lows. Because everyone is afraid, muttered General Vextar. His own government had executed 6 border commanders, who had been conducting illegal raids. Fear of consequences is not a bad thing, said a new voice from the back of the room. Everyone turned to see Captain Jake Morrison walking into the chamber. He looked the same as he had a month ago, but now he wore a different uniform. The insignia showed he had been promoted. Captain Morrison, Admiral Zexler said carefully, we weren't expecting you. I came to discuss the new security arrangements, Jake replied, taking a seat at the table, and to announce that human colonies will be reopening for trade and diplomacy. A collective sigh of relief went through the room. Several representatives had been worried that humans would remain isolated forever. However, Jake continued, there will be some changes to how things work. The relief quickly turned back to nervousness. Jake stood and walked to the center of the room. The human defense fleet is now operational across the galaxy. We have patrol ships in every major star system and monitoring stations along all primary trade routes. What does that mean for the rest of us? Asked Ambassador Quindle. It means the galaxy now has effective law enforcement, Jake answered. Pirates, slavers, raiders, and other criminals will be stopped quickly and permanently. Dr. Kethmara's tentacles writhed with concern. You're talking about setting up a parallel government? No, Jake said firmly. We're talking about doing the job the Galactic Council was supposed to do but couldn't or wouldn't do. He activated his own holographic display, showing patrol routes and response times. Human defense fleet ships can reach any point in civilized space within 6 hours. We maintain constant communication with all peaceful trade vessels. Any ship in distress gets immediate assistance. And any criminal gets immediate elimination, added General Vextar. Correct, Jake agreed without shame. Commander Thylon leaned forward. Captain Morrison, how do you decide who's a criminal and who isn't? Simple standards, Jake replied. Anyone who attacks civilians, steals cargo, captures people for slavery, or threatens peaceful colonies is a criminal. Anyone who helps criminals or protects them is also a criminal. What about due process? What about trials? Asked Dr. Kethmara. Criminals who surrender peacefully get trials, Jake answered. Criminals who fight get eliminated. Criminals who run get hunted down. The room was quiet for several minutes. Everyone was trying to understand this new reality. How many ships does this defense fleet have? Asked Admiral Zexler. Enough, Jake replied with his usual answer to that question. Where did you get the resources to build so many ships? Pressed Commander Thylan. For the first time, Jake smiled genuinely. We've been very busy during our months of silence. Turns out, eliminating criminal organizations gives you access to a lot of stolen goods that need to be returned to their owners. You're funding your fleet with recovered stolen property? Asked Ambassador Quindle. Among other things, Jake. Confirmed. We also received significant donations from species who appreciated having their kidnapped citizens returned alive. The implications were staggering. Not only had humans eliminated galactic crime, they had used the criminals' own resources to build a permanent police force. There's something else, Jake continued. Dr. Elena Rodriguez has been appointed as the new human ambassador to the Galactic Council. Everyone looked around, but Dr. Rodriguez wasn't in the room. Where is she? Asked Veltar, the young Centauri who had been her assistant. She's establishing the new embassy, Jake replied. It's not on the council station anymore. Where is it? Asked Admiral Zexler. The embassy moves, Jake said. It's aboard a defense fleet ship that travels throughout the galaxy. Dr. Rodriguez will meet with officials from different species on their own worlds, in their own space. The message was clear. Humans would no longer come to the council to ask for help or protection. Instead, human representatives would visit other worlds to make sure those worlds were following proper behavior. This sounds like you're taking over, said General Vextar bluntly. We're taking responsibility, Jake corrected. The galaxy proved it couldn't police itself. Crime was getting worse every year. Corruption was spreading through government systems. Peaceful species were being attacked while their supposed protectors did nothing, he gestured to the nearly empty chamber. Look around this room. Half the people who used to sit here were criminals themselves. They were taking bribes, selling weapons to pirates, or protecting slave traders. Nobody could argue with that. The arrests of the past month had revealed corruption that went deeper than anyone had imagined. So what happens now? Asked Commander Thylan. Now the galaxy gets back to work, Jake replied. Trade resumes. Diplomacy continues. Research and exploration proceed. The only difference is that criminals will be stopped before they can hurt anyone. He pressed a button on his communication device. This is Captain Morrison. Signal the colony ships to begin return operations. A new voice responded immediately. Understood, Captain. The first wave of colonists will be back to New Denver within the week. Jake looked around the room at the assembled alien representatives. Humans are not conquerors. We never wanted to rule anyone. We just wanted to live in peace and trade with our neighbors. Then why all this? Asked Dr. Kethmara, gesturing to the display showing patrol routes. Because peace requires vigilance, Jake answered. Because trade requires security. Because neighbors need to be able to trust each other. He walked toward the exit, then paused and turned back. The human defense fleet will be holding recruitment drives on various worlds. Any species that wants to help maintain galactic security is welcome to apply. We're not just a human organization anymore. What do you mean? Asked Ambassador Quindle. We mean that keeping the galaxy safe is everyone's responsibility, Jake replied. Humans started this because we had to, but we hope others will join us in finishing it. After Jake left, the remaining council members sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Admiral Zexler spoke. The motion before the council is to officially recognize the Human Defense Fleet as an authorized peacekeeping organization with full law enforcement powers throughout civilized space. All in favor? Asked Commander Thy single quotes Londot. Every hand, tentacle, wing, and appendage in the room went up. Motion passed unanimously, Zexler announced. 6 months later, crime in the galaxy had dropped to almost zero. Trade was flourishing like never before. New colonies were being established on worlds that had been too dangerous to settle before. The human defense fleet had grown to include volunteers from 30 different species. Their ships bore the insignia of a simple white star on a blue background, and that symbol had become known throughout the galaxy as a sign of safety and protection. Humans had returned to their role as traders, diplomats and friends to all peaceful species, but now everyone understood that beneath their friendly nature lay something much stronger. Humans would protect what they cared about, and they cared about keeping the galaxy safe for everyone. The message was simple and clear: be peaceful, and humans would be your friends. Be criminal, and humans would be your end. The galaxy had learned to choose wisely.